That's just like a man.
I'd be like, if I look old and haggard, it's because I had your 6 kids, dude.
I was like, ick.
I can tell you personally, hot dogs are very slippery. I did not know that. And that's the end of the news article.
Welcome to the Besties in the Books podcast, guys. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Liz, and today we are continuing down the path of Green Gables.
La, 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 la.
And such a beautiful place it is. We are covering Anne of Green Gables for our mini episode series if you've been along for this journey. Today we are going to be covering books 5 and 6. I can't even believe that we're here. It's crazy. So that is Anne's House of Dreams, book 5. And then book 6 is Anne of Ingleside. So I did write those down and make notes for myself, but I didn't use them. I wanted to see if I'd be able to do that from memory. It's hard to remember them all, though. I will definitely say that. If you guys have been following along for our mini episode series, you know, we kicked it off with kind of some context about where, this book takes place, Prince Edward Island in Canada, predominantly. A little bit about Lucy Maud Montgomery, the author, and just kind of like a little bit about Canadian politics, just, some surface level stuff to give you guys some context for coming of age novels, why stories about women and girls are so important. And then we got into books 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and now here we are today.
Here we are.
I'm
we're
really
going to let you
excited.
guys know, are these worth continuing on the read?
Yeah.
Because it's the first 3 that are the most popular, right? First 3 or 4?
First 3, I think most people that I've talked to, at least, myself included, typically it's I think the original 3 are kind of seen as the kind of mains.
Yeah.
And I would say I have only met one person so far that I've talked to who has read past book 3.
Yeah.
So, we're here to tell you, is it worth it? Is it worth soldiering on and reading all 8? So, stick around if you want to see us cover these. We'll have our spoiler-free reviews in the beginning of each book so that you guys can get our star rating, our basic spoiler-free sentence reviews. And then, we still have books 7 and 8 to cover. And then we're going to be doing a wrap-up episode where, as per usual, we rank all the books, talk about the 80s movies, and kind of do our general wrap-up. I did want to ask you, how is your daughter doing on her Anne of Green Gables journey? Did she finish book 1? How's that going? She
hasn't done any more. She did. No, I don't remember now. Yeah. I went to download it on her watch because she has an Apple Watch for, activities and stuff. And it won't let me download any Audible or Libby or anything like that on her watch because she has to be 12 or older. So she's 10 and I don't want to change her settings. So I don't know if anybody has any recommendations because she really wants to listen to some audiobooks. But I don't know what else to do other than put them on the iPad, which that's more cumbersome and everything. So I'm not really sure what else to do. She obviously has the physicals, but it's
I was just wondering
the
other day.
More tricky for her. So,
Yeah, I was just wondering the other day how she was doing because I know she was pretty into it. Yeah, there has to be a workaround for that because it's obviously kids under 12 want to read too. Yeah.
So
what do you guys
I
have?
don't
Any
know.
suggestions?
I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, I get why because there's a lot of books, but it's they don't have a kids audio app. I don't know. So I can't find anything that has let me because I tried a bunch of random apps and nothing was letting me download it for her. Super annoying. So we'll see.
Well, we wanted to cover this because it's good for all ages. We really want to reiterate that it's good for all ages. So yes, great for kids, but also really great for adults too. So we'll be talking about why as we continue on for sure. And then we also wanted to just kind of talk about, these were written in the very early 1900s till about I want to say early 30s. And so we really wanted to talk about how important it is to tell women and girls stories, but then also how, these characters have helped inform a lot of the characters that we read about now and that we cover now.
Yeah.
And that's very important. So we'll be getting into that a little bit more too in this episode. But before we get there, we just wanted to say thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for being here, taking time out of your day and your book to come hang out with us and see what we have to say about these books. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcasts, including YouTube if you haven't yet. And then also check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Besties in the Books Podcast everywhere, except for the Fable app, which is Besties and the Book Club. If you want to join our virtual book club over there, it's a free app and it's fun time.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yes, it is. Okay. So, should we just kick it off with our spoiler-free basic star review for each of these books? So, let's start with book 5, which is called Anne's House of Dreams. You want to go first?
Yes.
Or you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay, I just have one thing to say before we kick this
you
off.
go first then.
I thought this was important. No, it's okay. You could go first. But I just, important information because I was curious about this. So I thought maybe you guys would be wondering. Okay, so Anne's House of Dreams was published in 1917. And this covers when Anne is the age of 25, 26, and 27.
Okay.
So I was curious about that because I feel like once we start getting into these books later, like later years, I mean, all of them kind of skip years, but these skip bigger spans of time. So I wanted to specifically address that. So we're talking about mid-20s here. Okay.
Yeah.
So give us your star rating on Anne's House of Dreams.
5 stars for me. I enjoyed this book not because it's a sweet, silly, fun time, but it addresses a lot of important issues, and it does it in such a way that is oftentimes not utilized. So it's giving a different perspective on whereas Anne's headspace is going through things, different people that she interacts with in her life, and I appreciated these stories that were told.
Yeah.
So, yep.
For sure.
Here we go.
5 stars for me. I'm not going to say this officially until we get to our wrap-up episode, but this is definitely a contender for probably my favorite book in the series, for sure.
Yeah.
So if you're curious if you should read after book 3, my answer at this point would be definitely. That way you could get to book 5.
Yeah.
I love this book for the same reasons. I feel like it introduced really impactful characters, and I think that it also, as an adult woman, was more relatable. Would I have loved it as much reading book 5 when I was 12? Probably not. But I think that now, from the age and perspective that I'm looking at it, the topics that were brought up and the characters and their stories that we got to learn about, not just Anne, but all of her friends and people around her were really valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So 5 stars. Solid. No questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then for the next book, so let's see, now I'm blanking out. Anne of Ingleside. Okay, so let's see, that one was written in 1939. So I did want to point that out because there was a significant break. So the last one was 1917, then we're jumping all the way forward to 1939.
Wow.
Which I think is pretty relevant and telling in the storytelling style for sure. In this book, Anne is between the ages of 34 and 40. So we skipped between 27 and 34. So I feel like that's also important to say. So we're looking at mid-30s to 40 or so. Okay, so what did you rate Anne of Ingleside?
I feel bad, guys. I feel bad. But for me, as a person, reading these books and comparing them to the other ones, dare I say 3 stars. I did not enjoy this one. Primarily because the constant point of view shifting between mostly her children. So I could see how, like, for my younger daughter, I think she'll actually like this book because you're kind of getting those life lessons again that some of her children are going through. And it's something that, like, one of her daughters, like, my daughter literally just went through one of these things at the care. So I was telling her about that. I was like, oh my gosh, like, look, she just went through this. So I think it's not it's going to be a 5-star for some people, for sure. You know what I mean? It's just a 3-star on my vibes. It just wasn't for me, but it doesn't make it bad. However, I did find the writing style more chaotic than it usually is. So I don't enjoy the chaos in those types of situations. So that's what I have to say about that.
For sure. I mean, 22 years in between the last book and this book. You know what I mean? So I'll just start with my star rating. I gave it a 4-star because I still feel like the writing was good. It wasn't my cup of tea either. I think that so far, I don't know, it'd be a tie between probably book 4 and this book that I liked the least. Yeah. I don't particularly enjoy, I love a multi-POV. What I don't like is when it almost feels like an amalgamation of anecdotal stories that are kind of like patchworked together without a consistent like through line story. Yeah. And that's how this felt to me. Yeah. It felt very like just kind of random things kind of put together because it was, I mean, in this book, we watch and eventually end up with 6 kids. So what it is it's basically just like, stories about her 6 kids navigating growing up and just like little, like how she used to get into, you know, like when she fell off the fence or when she and Diana were scared of the haunted woods or just like those little anecdotal stories that I think we really, really enjoyed when we were getting to know Anne. And it almost felt like a little bit grasping at straws to me to almost like 20 years later bring it back to that original vibe. And it just fell flat for me.
With like a bunch of different kids. Yeah. So I didn't feel like we fully got to know one in particular kid. Yeah. Exactly. So it was just hard for me to like get into because I was like, wait, who are we following now? I'm so confused. And I have to like go back and look or listen and be like, what's happening? You know? And there's different ages. So you have to be like, what perspective, you know, is this coming from? Yeah. And it's not that she wrote in the proper tones, but we just I didn't have the emotional connection. And then I felt like we got Anne at the end finally. And, you know, we'll talk about all of that. So,
yeah. So a little disjointed, I felt disconnected from it. Yeah, kind of same.
Disconnected.
The reason why I didn't rate it a 3-star was because I did feel like it was almost like kind of a throwback. So I feel like if you were younger age, you would have liked it. So again. Yeah. And I feel like the writing was done well. Like I don't feel like it was bad writing. It just, I feel like as adults, whereas the last book, Anne's House of Dreams, was super relatable. I felt like this was almost like as an adult, I was kind of like, I've made it through this many books and this is not relatable to me at all. Until the end, pretty much.
Yeah. As far as going past book 3, right? So book 4, we were kind of like, I don't know, like, you know, take it or leave it. I enjoyed it, but you didn't really love it. Yeah. Book 5, excuse me, we both gave 5 stars. So that's definitely worth a read. You know, definitely. I honestly think you wouldn't have to read book 4 if you start reading it and you don't love it. You're not losing too much context. Like you'll catch up enough. 5, definitely. I feel like you could probably skip, you know, book 6 if you struggled with those same things we struggle with, you know?
Yeah. I think that's what makes this series a little bit unique too, is just the fact that like, I don't know that it's necessary to read them all or to even read all of them in a particular order. And so maybe we'll talk about that on our wrap up episode. Like we can have a little section of like, which ones are, you know, vital, which ones aren't vital, which ones could you skip? And I mean, that way, once we've read books 7 and 8 as well, and we can give you guys our opinion on those, we can kind of let you know if we think that it's worth continuing on past book 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But just a little tidbit for those that are reading right now and like, interested, not interested? Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yep.
So should we get into our spoiler section, starting with our 5-sentence summary?
Let's do it. Spoilers coming up, especially with the flute. Okay? If you don't want to listen to spoilers, go on, get.
Okay, here we go. The 5-sentence summary, and this will be clumped together for Anne's House of Dreams and Anne of Ingleside.
Let's go.
Anne and Gilbert get married in a lovely ceremony at Green Gables and then move to a small, beautiful seaside house in Four Winds Harbor, Prince Edward Island, that they nickname the House of Dreams.
Aww. There we go.
Lovely. Lovely,
One.
lovely. Gilbert spends his days building his growing medical practice and getting to know the neighbors with Anne, who takes a particular liking to Captain Jim, an elderly sailor and keeper of the lighthouse who lost his true love years ago, a single and sassy woman named Miss Cordelia, who lives alone and stays up to date on all the local gossip, and Leslie Moore, a woman of 28 years trapped in a loveless marriage with an abusive man who came back from a sea voyage with a brain injury, leaving him with no memories and someone who must be taken care of constantly. I only say that with a laugh because it's like such drama. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Was that 2 or 3? Now I forgot.
That was 2. Okay. Throughout the course of their years at the House of Dreams, Anne and Gilbert witness Captain Jim have an epic novel written about his life before he passes away by a man named Owen Ford, who ends up marrying Leslie after Gilbert encourages her to take her husband to Montreal for brain surgery, where his memory is restored, and it is realized that her abusive husband actually died at sea, and the man she knows is actually his cousin who returns to his previous life, leaving her free. And also, Miss Cordelia marries another unlikely suitor from town who appreciates her strong will and independence.
Celebration dance to lose that baggage.
Yeah, right? Oh, my God.
For like 10 years, she was taking care of him, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, 10 or 15.
Yeah. Whew. When you told me she was only 28, I was like, oh, thank goodness, because they were treating her like such an old maid, and I was like,
as they do.
Yeah, as they do. Okay. So that's 3. Okay. Anne and Gilbert lose little Joyce, their first baby, after only a day. And after much mourning, Anne has a second child, James, who they name after Captain Jim. Leslie and Owen buy the House of Dreams, and Anne and Gilbert move to Glen St. Mary to a beautiful, larger estate that they call Ingleside with their lovely housekeeper, Susan.
No rhyme or reason to me. 4.
Anne and Gilbert go on to have 5 more children, and Jim, Walter, Nan, Diana, Shirley, and Rilla all grow up like Anne did in their own enchanted version of Green Gables, which they call Rainbow Valley, while Anne and Gilbert navigate the complexity of parenthood, 15 years of marriage, and aging.
5.
Yes.
Woo!
So it was a wild journey there for a little while, and then it just kind of, strangely enough, I feel like it kind of calms down once there's 6 kids in the picture. It's like the story to us calms down, even though it's crazy for them, you know?
Yeah. It's not as emotional as the other book, the first one.
For sure. Yeah. Okay, so why don't we just kick it off with our favorite and least favorite parts?
Yeah, let's talk about it. All right, you go first this time.
Okay. So my favorite part of both of these books was Leslie and Owen's love story. I freaking ate that up like so much. It's like, just to kind of like paint a picture, if you guys are listening and, you know, you haven't read this and you're kind of considering it, you know, Leslie is this, 28-year-old woman who's married to this very abusive man who goes off to sea, I don't know, to do something. I'm not sure what. I don't even know if they tell us. And suffers a brain injury and basically, you know, returns home from the sea voyage as kind of like, what did they describe him as? Like having the brain capacity of like a small child, basically. Yeah. So he requires like care all the time and has no memories of his previous life. And then, you know, here's good old Gilbert over here who's like, hey, I feel like medicine has advanced enough. Let's see if we can get him some brain surgery. And dude recovers and is like, I'm not your ex-husband, I'm his cousin who looks the same. And she's like, oh my God, I'm free. And then she can marry the person that she truly loves. Yeah. What a journey. That's crazy.
What a journey, man. That was crazy.
That was definitely my favorite part because it was very like, I don't know, just like dramatically romantic, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What about you?
Well, my favorite part and least favorite part are combined. So why don't you first talk about your least favorite part and then I'll talk about both.
So that's interesting because I feel like I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
So my least favorite part was, Anne losing baby Joyce because it was super sad. But I say that because it was sad and I didn't obviously like that for her and for Gilbert. It was very tragic. But at the same time, I put least favorite question mark because I feel like, in whatever year I said that was, 1917, to show that kind of perspective on like a woman going through that circumstance and also grieving and acknowledging it instead of just brushing past it or being told not to talk about it or get over it, whatever. I feel like it was really, L.M. Montgomery really gave it the attention that it needed and deserved. And to do that in 1917, I think was really, really cool and really important and smart. So least favorite part because it was very sad, but still not like my least favorite part for any other reason, So what about you?
Yeah, so exactly that. It's my least favorite part and favorite part because she included it. So yes, trigger warning for, infant loss and pregnancy loss. So it was as somebody who went through a late term loss too, I felt very seen. And I think almost everybody, I think all of us know somebody who has been affected by this, and especially seeing the older generations who have talked to me in their elder years for the first time about a pregnancy loss or infant loss that they had that they didn't feel like they could ever talk about. To see L.M. Montgomery talk about this in 1917, it's just one of those things I wish more people could be able to read it, because not only is she going through this horrible thing that unfortunately happens often enough, she calls out toxic positivity in a way, Marilla is putting that spin on it that sometimes we don't want that spin on it, Well, you'll have another child. And it's like, no, but I want this one, Anne says, I will always think of her. She will always be in my heart. And it's, allowing Anne to go through grief, and not to the point that she'll become that forever, but allowing her that space to grieve and talking through it with Marilla and other people around her, having that open communication can make a world of difference for people going through these losses. And it's just a representation. That was my favorite part, because so oftentimes we're told of so many things in life, just get over it. Like, it's fine. I think of that awful best friend in Princess Diaries who's like, oh, you're still mad about your dad dying? What? It's been 2 months? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I can't stand her. It's like that. It's like, oh, shouldn't you be over that by now? And it's like, no, I shouldn't be. And we should be allowed to talk about this through open spaces. So I really appreciated L.M. Montgomery writing her story the way that she did.
Yeah, and the inner monologue of, inner and outer monologue.
Yeah.
Because like you said, she was talking to, Miss Cordelia. She was talking to Leslie. She was talking to Marilla, about these things. Like, just to be able to have a really thorough, I feel like, recounting of the situation, as opposed to just like, this happened, now we're moving on. Or the story fast forwards once, quote unquote, Anne is better or whatever. I feel like, no, we watched it play out in the time necessary for, Anne to process the information too. So, yeah.
Yeah. And she even, mentions after having 6 kids, that she still thinks of that one, and that never goes away completely. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, someone refers to, the baby as not by her name. And I remember that specifically where she was like, that was Joyce. Like, that was her name. And I was like, it was very, real, and I appreciated it, too.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So, what about your favorite character and least favorite character?
Oh, well. Least favorite character, this one was easy. What's the freaking husband's name? The real one, I'm going to say. What was his name of the girl? The brain injury guy, but it's not the cousin. It's not his fault.
I don't remember his name. Okay. I pushed it out of my brain, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So he finds out that, what's the girl's name that you like? Sorry, I'm terrible with names.
Miss Cordelia?
Okay. Leslie? So Cordelia, Leslie was 15 or 16 years old. Her dad dies. Her mother, back in the early 1900s, it was women couldn't have jobs most of the time. They had to pick up side things.
You couldn't have a bank account. What are you supposed to do?
Depending on where you live, sometimes you can inherit the property. So she inherits it, but she can't afford the taxes and to maintain it.
Yeah.
So she has other kids too, besides Leslie. So this man, who is an adult man, finds out that she has her bank loan through his dad, and threatens to repossess the house, foreclose the house on them if he doesn't allow her to marry Leslie, a 16-year-old. So, my first honestly reaction was like, that mom, I can't believe she agreed to that. And then I had to check my misogyny, guys. And I'm like, no, this woman was probably also only 30 and left with all these kids and nothing to be able to do other than be homeless, and it's not okay that she accepted his proposal to get, through it, but it was kind of like, what was a girl to do then, So I reassessed who I was mad at, and I'm like, because I'm obviously mad at the guy, but I was definitely like turned real quick against the mom, and I was like, no, this is that man's fault. He manipulated the system and used it to marry an underage woman. Obviously back then the rules might have been different, but doesn't matter. She's 16.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I hate him with a passion. I'm glad that he died. Poor Jim, accidentally bringing the wrong one home. But he was like bludgeoned and disfigured also.
Well, and they said that like even when they were both normal and doing well, they looked like twins. Like they said that. Like they looked like twins. Because people were saying like, how did she not know that was her husband? It's like, well, if they literally look like twins.
Look like twins and then also beaten up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it was also hard because they were like, well, he's nicer now. So it's like, okay, I guess, at least.
Well, it's like a double-edged sword. Yeah, because she's like, well, at least now he's not abusive, but he's like someone I have to care for 24/7 and we're married. And back then she was like, I can't just leave him. Like, so she felt very obligated to stay with him.
Yeah. So he's definitely my least favorite character. Yep.
I love that though, like shifting the blame, like because it's funny that you say that because when I pictured her mom, I pictured almost like the mom from Titanic.
Yeah.
And I feel like, like when I was younger, it was definitely always like I looked at the mom like, oh my God, what a B word. You know what I mean? Like, but then it's like you think about it because that was the same time. Yeah. Like the Titanic was happening like at the same time this was
1912.
going on. Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, no, like if women can't own property, women can't open businesses, women can't even have a bank account, like literally what are your options?
Yeah. I mean, and 16 wasn't that unusual back then to be married at. So it's kind of like, okay, well, and at least he comes from money and, even though nobody really likes him, okay, I guess this is probably my best option. She's going to be forced to get married in the next couple years anyways.
But it's like, it's important to challenge ourselves, just like you did and say like, is the mom really the one to blame? Same with Titanic. When I watched it again recently, I was like, is the mom really the one to blame? Like, she's not great, but at the same time, it's like, you have to have some empathy for the situation. It's more complex and like really at the heart of it, like patriarchy and misogyny are what's to blame. Yeah.
This guy did not need to. He just saw a hot girl and was like, I want to tame her. Because that was the thing. She was a free spirit as well. So he's the problem. It's him. 100%. No excuses.
Yeah, for sure.
So... yeah.
That's funny. I obviously really disliked him as well, but as far as like characters that we had to deal with a lot that I hated, I didn't even look up her name because I was like, I don't care. I'm not going to look up her name. I'm just going to say definitely Gilbert's aunt for sure. I think the only reason why I chose her instead of one of the other characters that was obviously worse is because of the fact that like we just had like half of a book where we had to listen to her. So she was just there. The other guy, it's like we had to hear about him because it was important to Leslie's backstory, but dude was dead. So like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like we didn't have to like, or when we thought he was alive, he was like essentially someone who was never actually present in the story. We just knew of him.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to like listen to him talk 24/7. I was like, oh, dear Lord, you're so annoying.
We had no resolution. She just finally left.
Yeah, she left of all things because they threw her a birthday party and pointed out how old she was. And that was the final straw. She was like, I'm getting out of here. Yeah. So she was definitely my least favorite character, for sure.
You go first. Who was your favorite character then?
Oh, Miss Cordelia was my favorite character for sure.
Yeah. Is that the Just Like a Man lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite.
Yeah. We'll take a moment to talk about Miss Cordelia here.
Yeah.
So Miss Cordelia is, this woman that Anne meets, one of the neighbors to her, House of Dreams. Miss Cordelia, do you know how old she is?
I was just thinking that. I'm like, you know what? She's probably only like 40 at the most.
At the most. I would say
because that's how everybody is.
Yeah.
And the narrator was like, that's just like a man.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's probably only like a 40-year-old.
Yeah. So I would estimate probably between the ages of 35 and 45. Okay. This woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, she's never been married. She doesn't have any kids. She refuses to get married, until she eventually does to a man who gets her, right? Presumably.
Yeah.
And, she's just like this lovely woman who kind of just lives her life the way that she wants to. She's very independent. And her kind of like catchphrase that she says all the time, she'll tell a story and then she'll say, that's just like a man. Yeah. And it just had me and Ashley cracking up so much because it's just such a, to go back to L.M. Montgomery writing this in that time, like how bold to include a character who, is going to call out these behaviors, even in times when it's just kind of comical and silly.
Yeah.
Like, but just to say, like, that's just like a man. Yeah, it's just, it was
like,
this
is so us. It's our new catchphrase, guys. Yeah. That's just like a man.
That's just like a man. Yeah. And it could be anything. It could be anything. Like, literally anything. So
it's literally idiot boys making rash decisions most of the time, too. So we can relate hard over here.
Well, just to use an example, when they found out that, Leslie's actual husband died at sea, she's like, well, that's just like a man.
Yeah, die at sea. That's just like a man, as they do. Die at sea.
So it would be stuff like that, too, which was just so funny. So fully appreciated Miss Cordelia. It's inspiring. A bonus section at the end of this episode. So stick around if you want to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but it's helpful in times of annoyance, It's like, it's just like a man,
Yeah.
Because it's like, they do these things. It's just like, come on. So
she just calls it out.
Lightens up the mood.
It does. Yeah. It did.
Instead of being like rage, then I can just be like, just like a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, little simple dummy.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, it's like there was actually, now that you're saying that, I have a quote that I'll share now instead of during the quote section. That really, really described Miss Cordelia just in general. And I was like, okay, Miss Cordelia personated the comedy that ever peeps around the corner at the tragedy of life. That's how she described her. And I was like,
that's not us, though.
Yeah. I was like, that's a perfect description of her character. So, she's the comic relief, but in a way that acknowledges what is really going on a deeper level. And, like, what a smart way to write that character, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was funny.
Yeah.
I don't have the exact quote, but one of the first times that we get the just like a man quote, she's talking to Anne about the different, people in town and stuff, and talking about how one of the girls, her father, trigger warning, but commits suicide by drowning in, what did he drown in? Like
the well.
The well that the family uses, and doesn't have the decency to take himself over to the ocean across the street. That's just like a man drowning himself in the well. Because it's like, so like you get this trauma dump, but it's like so funny to call out how ridiculous of a choice that was for him to make. Because idiot boy's making rash decisions, drowning himself in the well. Yeah. Now the family had to dig a new well. And then she goes on, and it was a bad well, and they had to move. So it's like fully ruined their lives. Great, thanks.
Yeah, just in case it wasn't bad enough, I'm going to make sure that I make your lives an inconvenience as well, Oh my God.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah. So there we go.
So would you say that Miss Cordelia was also your favorite character?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's who I had down. For sure. For sure.
Yeah. She was the best.
Yeah.
Okay. So we added this in, I don't even know, maybe last episode, but what would you have found most relatable as a young girl versus an adult woman now, like in these two books?
Oh, definitely, Anne's infant loss for sure was the most relatable for me, especially as someone who has gone through that. And then versus as a young girl, yeah, I probably would have enjoyed some of those stories in book 6, like I talked about for my daughter, just the different types of personalities that her children meet, in particular, the girl that, keeps having friends that are just like pathological liars.
I know.
Just breaking her heart because she's an imaginative child too, just like Anne, but these people are taking it too far, these kids. So those kind of stories. There's a lot of talk of mortality throughout all of these books, honestly. And I feel like for both me as a child and as an adult, they're very helpful and important to discuss in such a way that you don't feel impending doom.
Yeah.
Existential crisis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an acknowledgement, but not like there's no like moral framework really like tied up in it, I feel. It's more like a matter of fact acknowledgement of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
I mean, I would say that, book 5 in particular was really relatable, like I said, to us as adults now, for sure. I don't know that I would have found it super relatable or entertaining as a kid. I might have struggled with it a little bit. But I feel like, as far as, them meeting Captain Jim and then him passing, but having his story, like memorialized in this book, like, I feel like, to go back to your, themes of mortality, I feel like that was a good example of that. And Anne just kind of like experiencing, loss in a different kind of way than she had in her younger years. Like, obviously, like losing, why am I blanking out on his name? Matthew, was like a very important part of her childhood, adolescence, but like this is different. She's experiencing it differently with the perspective that she has now. So I found that relatable. I also found it relatable, I think it was in book 6 where she's talking about how fast time is starting to go. You can see the shift in book 6 where she's now in her mid-30s. Like, she's the age we are now in book 6.
Yeah.
Whereas she's more like mid-20s in book 5. I feel like, in book 6, she's grappling a lot with that idea of like, what does it mean to age? What does that mean for my marriage? What does that mean for life in general? Time is moving quickly. She's watching Marilla get a lot older. I think that all of those things were very relatable to me. Just like, and again, I don't know that I would have appreciated that at all as a kid, but like now I'm like, wow, like all those things that she's noticing, I'm appreciating the progression of her character now that we're kind of matching up in age. I think that's really cool. Like, we've watched her grow up and now I'm like, okay. Like, we're experiencing, like, at this point in time, maybe not very similar things because it's a different time and she's got lots of kids and everything, but still there are themes in life, like the passing of time getting really fast, that are relatable, I think, to a lot of people in our age range. Yeah. And
seeing her have the same kind of internalized things that a lot of us face too with getting older, being in marriages for a long time and the struggles. They may have like full struggles, but just like the insecurities that come with being married for, I think they're on 15 years or something like that almost, and calling that out and like, does he still love me? Do I still love him? Like, what are we falling away from each other? And we've had all these kids, now what? So a lot, like having those conversations and eventually having them together, it's very important to be able to discuss these things with our spouses because, he says to her, she asks, like, do you still love me? And he says, oh, I didn't think that you needed with words. I thought you knew that, like, you're my entire life or whatever. And it's like, no, we do need to hear these things still, we do. And having that communication, if you can, before it gets to the point that she was, feeling as bad as she was and projecting onto other women her insecurities. It's important to have these conversations and always keep those lines of communication open, because it's not the same. I think in a lot of relationships, people just, it's like, oh, your mom's always going to love you, possibly. I'm generalizing, because people have, different situations growing up, but like, it's always going to be that unconditional love. But I feel that in spousal relationships with significant others, it's something that you do always have to kind of work with, maybe one of the partners doesn't, and maybe both don't need it, but most people need, some form of acknowledgement and, what is the love language? So some of
like
us need words of affirmation and the gift giving. If those things start stopping and you're just going into work and you're just, becoming roommates, then it can affect our mental health, our relationships. So being able to talk about that and saying your needs is important. So we'll see what happens in the next book, but it seems like they talked it out enough.
Yeah. And I appreciate Gilbert. I feel like his character is unique because it's like, I feel like, as Miss Cordelia would say, he is just like a man in a lot of ways, right? It's like, when Anne, is spiraling out because, it's their anniversary. It's a wedding anniversary. Yeah. He seemingly doesn't remember. He hasn't said anything. She bought a new dress. He doesn't comment on it. He wants to actually meet up with one of his old ex-girlfriends who's visiting in town. And he invites Anne. They're all invited. But he's on their anniversary. Anne is freaking out because she's like, does he even love me anymore? What's the deal with this? Well, it's turns out all along, Gilbert just is exhausted because he's worried about this sick patient that he has who doesn't know if they're going to make it, Yeah. So he's distracted. He didn't mention their anniversary because the gift was late and he didn't want to bring attention to it. So he's hoping Anne forgot until it gets there in time. He noticed her dress and he noticed how beautiful she looked in it, but he didn't say anything because he's assuming that she knows that he thinks that she's beautiful. So why does he need to say it all the time? So it's just these little things that are miscommunications or just slight things, but they end up, talking it through. And I like that Gilbert is very open and honest about it and is okay with just talking it out and doesn't get defensive about it,
Yeah. He's definite, and it's another reason why men should be reading these stories too, because it's another perspective. And as much as we hate miscommunication tropes, this one was important to show how to overcome those things and it didn't last more than a day.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, she was having these feelings of getting older and their relationship, changing and evolving. And then this happens, whatever the word is, compounds, and then which a lot of us go through. You have the little things, building up, and then something big happens and then you can talk about it.
It was handled really well, I thought. So
handled well.
Very relatable. I feel like these books would be a little bit more relatable for those of us who are a little bit older, but might still be enjoyable and entertaining to read if you're younger.
Yeah. Well, see, but most of this book is young. That was 3 chapters, maybe with Anne. It was mostly not her. So that was our little treat back to where she is.
Where we want to be. Yeah.
So, we say, I don't know if you want to read this book or not, but it still had stuff in it that was good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it just depends what you want to prioritize on your giant TBR stack. But and it's a good reminder for all of us, even, for me to my husband, acknowledging when he looks handsome and not just saying it in my head.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it would be good for guys to read too, to say, no, we always need to keep those compliments up and acknowledgements. But I did hate that he was just just hoping she doesn't, just like a man, just say happy anniversary, your gift's coming, please.
Yeah, exactly. God.
I'm stewing all day. I'd be so pissed. Just tell me. I know postal stuff happens, come on.
Yeah, they're bringing it in by horse and buggy. Especially
back then. Gosh dang it. Tell me my dress is pretty. Yeah. I love that she changed. Well, fine. If he's not going to see it, then I'm changing.
Yeah. She wore her funeral dress, her black. I was I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how overall would you say that these 2 books made you feel? And were there any particular literary devices that Ellen Montgomery used, you think, to aid in us feeling the way we feel?
Yeah, kind of like we all talked about. It made me feel seen. It acknowledges a lot of things that are, happening in these adult years. And she uses these literary devices of showing the characters going through these internal monologues and external monologues to go through these changes and adjustments and, even just acknowledging the societal issues of the times of this man marrying this teenager, and calling out the issues in there and the manipulations that were going on. So, yeah, like that's bold in the early 1900s.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this was very, like, that's what I'm kind of realizing. Very Ella Montgomery in the way that, like, she's using the multiple POV and, like, the different characters, specifically mostly female characters, to critique the times.
Yeah.
And to challenge women's roles. And that's very obvious with Leslie. That's very obvious with Miss Cordelia, And then in, book 6, we get away from that. And I think that might be why we didn't connect with it as much. And that was definitely more about the kids. But even so,
I did like the witch lady, though.
The witch lady?
She wasn't. Good. But basically, the townspeople have these, like, witchy feelings about her because she was, staring at the moon one night or something, or singing to the moon.
Yeah.
And she's a widow. So, she just lives with her marigolds and her cats, living the best life, honestly. Yeah. She's all happy and, silly, and she's not the ideal expectations this child conjured up because she's not a witch.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's just living her best life. But I love that she's like, oh, I heard your parents are bringing you up science-y or something like that. How do you like that? I think that's great. And I just thought that was an interesting call out as well, because that was unusual.
Yeah.
And even though they are going to church and they do have religion involved, they also believe in science.
Yeah.
So, I enjoyed that.
Well, I mean, that woman even, she was a very minor character, but the witchy lady. She even acknowledges, because someone, makes a comment about, like seeing her, like, talk to the moon, or like some one of the reasons why they thought she was a witch. And she was like, well, why shouldn't I? Who cares?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I love that. Like, what?
And then she's like, she has a cold, so she's like wearing like a wreath of something, Yeah. And it's like, it's so funny. I love it.
So I think that, to me, now that we're this far along in the series, I think that that's kind of one of her main objectives. Ella Montgomery's main objectives is, showing us all these different ways that women can exist in society, and using that to critique the boxes that all of them are placed in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So how did Ella Montgomery use Anne and her growth to address important societal issues? So I'd say, like, basically that's it. I think that, Anne is, like, she's not a passive observer, but she kind of is in a lot of ways. And I think that that's an interesting way that the author is able to make Anne kind of the center of this world, but then also tell a lot of different stories at the same time, not necessarily with, like, Anne's, like, one perspective of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Agreed.
So let's see. Yeah, do you think it was typical for girls and women to be portrayed this way in popular literature at the time? Probably not. I mean, I'm not an expert, but, like, this seems pretty, like, I don't want to say, like, in your face, but it's pretty obvious. Like, I don't know that she meant it to be super secret. When you have someone literally saying that's just like a man every, like, 100 pages, I don't know that, that was necessarily subtle.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's unfortunate that it's not, a signed reading, but it makes sense because misogyny.
For sure. And then, do we think that Anne or any other characters exhibited characteristics similar to those that we value in popular books today? So, with our heroines that we read about in our romantasy books.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Sure. I mean, like you just said, I mean, it's more... in a lot of the fantasy things and stuff that we read, it's more subtleties, and pulling from representation to this fantasy world into our world. This is very obvious, discussing all the different themes and everything that are going on.
I think that's something that's really unique. And I was thinking about this a lot just because we've read Spark of the Everflame recently and covered that. Just this idea of, men as supporting characters, right? It's like Luther is arguably, in Spark of the Everflame, that series, one of the, best, in my opinion, supporting characters, supporting MMCs for, this really powerful woman character.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Gilbert is that for this time in the way that was available.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And I think that is important to bring up because, he's not supporting her to go into battle, right? Like, yeah. What he is
well, 6 kids. That is kind of a battle on its own.
I can't even imagine. But I think what the author is doing is she created a man like Gilbert who's very kind, he's understanding, he seems genuinely just like a good person. Mm-hmm. And while he may not be present in the background all the time supporting Anne's endeavors, he is, though. You know what I mean? It's like in the story, we might not be reading about Gilbert telling her, like, you should be doing this or this is great or go do this. But like he is supporting her as a person in whatever she really wants to do. And he has ever since they met. Yeah. And so I think that that's important to address, too, that, Anne is able to, in a lot of ways, live this life because Gilbert is in the background, really not stifling her down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I think would probably be very common back then.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Mm-hmm. He'd be best case scenario. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gilbert, we love you, Gilbert.
What's the worst that he's done so far to her? Make her move from her smaller house to the giant mansion estate? And then they end up, one of her friends buys it as a summer home.
And they get to go visit it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, darn.
I know.
Yeah.
Darn Gilbert, that guy. Didn't tell her dress was pretty. And then when she told him, he was like, you're right.
Yeah, I should say it. Yep.
I should have said it. So let's bring it on back to kind of the reason why we've been covering these, because we wanted to talk about coming of age novels, the Bildungsroman, specifically about, females' lives. So did we notice like how that was used in these 2 books in particular to kind of like move the plot along, or was there anything that you wanted to like call out as far as that goes?
Definitely. I mean, we're seeing the different stages. I actually really appreciate, because a lot of times, we're looking up the definitions of Bildungsroman and everything. It's focused on preteen and teenage years, maybe a little into adulthood. But this is like it shows how we're not done growing.
No.
At 18. At all. And it's something that like I cannot stand, that we're told at 18 years old to pick something that you want to do until you're 80. At this point, what's the retirement age now? 75 or something?
It's crazy.
Like at 18 years old, you don't even know who you are outside of your home yet. I'm not the same. I might have similar personality traits, but I've grown so much in the last even 5 years,
100%.
And so I think that is so important to show the different transitions of even Anne, and that it was cute that she was still like, she refers back to some of her childhood wonders, and she's still who she is at her core, but she's decided to have 6 kids when before she didn't even want to get married. So she's adjusted and changed and accepted her changes, And so it shows how Bildungsroman is not done at 18 years old, and you continue to grow. And she's going to continue to grow. If we get, I don't know what the next books cover, if they just switch completely or if we still see Anne's perspective, but you're not, I mean, how many of these old, what do they call them? Not hags, but like spinsters, who are getting married, at 35, and it's like, okay, come on, they still have their whole life ahead of them.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So,
yeah, I mean, I picked up on that too, the exact thing that you were saying, where I was like, go back to the definition being basically like an adolescent kind of journey. I really appreciate that we got Anne's adolescent journey, but then we got her college journey, and then we got her early 20s newlywed journey, and now we're getting her new mom journey. And I feel like all those different iterations, like, yeah, you can be who you are at your core, but you're going to be a different person through all those different stages of your life. And I do appreciate that a lot. Also, another part of coming of age tales that's important is that oftentimes they'll take this knowledge that they've learned and they'll pass it on. And so I think that's what a lot of book 6 is about. Because it's not just about the kids going through their like anecdotal issues or whatever, but it's about Anne walking them through it.
Yeah.
And doing, guiding them. It's about Anne guiding them. And I thought that was really special also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So here's the question. Are you excited to read the final 2?
Sure. I don't know what they're going to be about.
I don't either. Yeah. I have no idea.
I would say, if I'm being honest, I'm least excited about 8 because it is Rilla of Ingleside, I believe. So that's her daughter, one of her daughters. Mm-hmm. So, but that's being judgmental. It could be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Change my mind, L.M. Montgomery.
I know. Yeah, I'm excited too, mostly because, yes, I have no idea what to expect. All that I know about it is just based on the titles.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, curiosity for sure. Excited to see where this goes.
I am scared.
I'm
scared for Marilla. I'm scared for Anne, quite frankly. Yeah. These are rough times. Yeah. Medicine's progressing with the thanks of Gilbert. But, it's like, oh, we're getting... up to that life expectancy of the early 1900s wasn't great.
Like 60. So, it was like, honestly, I was expecting us to maybe lose Marilla in the last book. So the fact that we didn't...
I was like, did I miss it? Because they're not bringing her up that much.
She's going strong still. Yeah. So, yeah, I am a little afraid for our characters. I don't know how Montgomery's going to choose to wrap this up, if that's going to be with maybe Anne crossing the Rainbow Bridge. I don't know. But that will be sad if it indeed happens. We did lose a main character, Captain Jim, from book 5, and that definitely made me cry. That was quite sad. Even though it's like he literally died in the best way possible. Yeah.
Which I appreciated too, because so many of these deaths that they're dealing with, like, are horrific and die too young. It was one of those elderly passings. It's like, well, he wanted to go this way, and he did. So that's nice.
He literally went elderly man reading in his bed the story of his own life that got written about it. Like, come on, there's no better way to go. But that being said, like I said, I mean, if a character that we've only known for one book is like a tragic death, and I mean, even, with why can I not remember his name? Basically her dad, who dies in book 1.
Yeah, Matthew.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. I don't know. Maybe I blocked it out when I was a kid due to trauma. No, I can't remember it. Even Matthew, we knew him for such a short period of time, all things considered, and that was really hard too. So I feel like we'll just have to go into it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have some quotes?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, we've harped on it a lot. Just like a man. Be prepared for us to hear us say that all the time. I also have, so I already talked about that one. So covering book 5, I'd like to add some beauty to life, said Anne dreamily. I don't exactly want to make people know more, though I know that is the noblest ambition, but I'd love to make them have a pleasanter time because of me. To have some little joy or happy thought that would never have existed if I hadn't been born. Aw, it's beautiful. Yeah, sometimes just like being and existing and calling out beauty can be enough,
Yeah, we talked about this, amongst ourselves and also on the podcast a little bit too, just about this idea that sometimes, you don't need to lecture to people to get them to change. I think that's what she's saying. I'm not necessarily trying to change the world by telling people what to do and how to live. I'm just going to do the things that I think are right to bring myself and others joy and just let the chips fall as they may,
Yeah.
And I love that perspective. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so my first quote is, as a lot of my quotes are, by Miss Cordelia, our favorite character. I'm not hankering after the vote, believe me, said Miss Cordelia scornfully. I know what it is to clean up after the men. But some of these days, when the men realize they've got the world into a mess they can't get it out of, they'll be glad to give us the vote and shoulder their troubles over on us. That's their scheme.
Boom.
That
Boom.
is, in my opinion, like, literally, to have that in a book back then, like, how impactful even now. Like, you said a mouthful, lady, and it's still relevant in so many ways.
Yeah. I like that there's been several characters at this point now talking about women's rights to vote and hold power and their struggles. You know, it's like, this isn't a new idea, guys. You know, this has been going on before even these books. We've been trying to dismantle the patriarchy and make it more equal. Since the dawn of time. Really.
Yeah.
And we're just asking for equal rights. We're not asking to be the ones in charge now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
what do you got?
I couldn't live where there were no trees. Something vital in me will starve. I can relate to that because I do not like the desert.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
I can feel that.
I just need that. I need some kind of trees around me. Not deep, but relatable.
So this is another one. It was Eve ate the apple, Miss Cordelia. It was, she says, it was a he creature that tempted her, retorted Miss Cordelia triumphantly.
Ooh. See, it kind of is like the man forcing the mom to say yes to the proposal.
Yeah, exactly.
Know? It's like you want to blame Eve, but who tempted them?
Yeah, and there's more going on there. Yeah, it's not as simple. It's not simple. Here's another light one. Thank goodness we can choose our friends. We have to take our relatives as they are and be thankful. Yeah. Miss Aunt Mary Maria. That was her name. The aunt I didn't like.
There you go. Blocked it out.
So here, because this was one of my quotes from It's Just Like a Man. I can tell you what is the matter with Mrs. Blythe, Susan had answered grimly. She has got a bad attack of Aunt Mary Maria, and the doctor cannot seem to see it, even though he does worship the ground that she walks on. Isn't that just like a man? So basically, like, Anne is miserable because she has this miserable woman, you know, Gilbert's aunt staying with them. And she's just saying, like, for some reason, Gilbert cannot seem to understand that is why Anne is in a bad mood, even though he literally worships the ground that she walks on. Isn't that like a man?
Yeah.
It's so true. It's just like going about his business, not understanding what's going on. Yep.
Yeah. Here, moving on to book 6 for me. I cracked up and wrote this down. Nobody approves of murder as a habit. So they're talking about one of the wives who killed her husband, and everybody in town knows it. Didn't prosecute it, but she's like, you know, she had enough. He was abusing her or something like that.
She poisoned him.
Well, like, nobody likes that she did it, but, you know, nobody approves of murderous habit. It was just one and done. It's like, fine. It was just so nonchalant. So it was a funny reflection on the times as well.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Anne always liked to get up early and catch that mystical half hour before sunrise when the world belongs to the fairies and the old gods. She liked to see the morning sky of pale rose and gold behind the church spire, the thin translucent glow of sunrise spreading over the dunes, the first violet spirals of smoke floating up from the village roofs. I loved that because it's like such a good example of like just the imagery in these books, but also like how I feel. And one of the reasons why I wake up at 5 every day. Because I, too, enjoy that.
Yeah. Aw. It's a good reminder to stop and smell the roses, you know? Yeah. It's not what the world holds for you, it's what you bring to it. That was nice. A little motivational quote.
And writing the coattails of that one. A man mayn't amount to an awful lot, but you sort of miss him when he goes. Talking about someone's husband dying. I'm like, oh my God.
Okay, so here's another deep one. Well, that was life. Gladness and pain, hope and fear, and change. Always change. You cannot help it. You had to let the old go and take the new to your heart. Learn to love it and then let it go in turn. Spring, lovely as it was, must yield to summer, and summer lose itself to autumn, the birth, the bridal, the death. Yeah.
Yep. I wrote that one
kind of, what these books are kind of all about, going through the seasons of changes.
Yep.
Turn and face the chances to change us.
We'll end on that one because I feel like I had that one written down too, and that's just a good summation. I feel like of where we're at right now.
Totally.
In the series, for sure. So good.
Totally.
So overall, would you say that at this point in time, we see, let's just look at it as books 1 through 6 as a positive or negative contribution to the canon?
Positive.
Positive in all accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you have any critiques other than what we've already mentioned?
I do.
All right.
Listen,
let's hear it.
And I will say, obviously, it's a sign of the times. We still hear it today, and we're still trying to dismantle these kind of comments and ways of thinking. But I didn't love Gilbert's attitude at the end when he was kind of discussing the ex-girlfriend. Do we all do it? Yeah. But still, I just didn't love it. I didn't specifically like the comments where he was like, well, she got fat. Glad you didn't.
Right.
I was like,
I forgot about that. Yeah, that wasn't it.
That's just like a man. But specifically because he's like, that girl got fat. Glad you didn't. She's also looking old. Glad you don't. It's like, well, then...
If then it gained weight or looked old, would you not love me anymore?
Yeah. So am I on a timer here? Like, then that would have ruined all of the stuff for me of like, apologies and doing better. And then if he goes and says that, I'd be like, well, crap. Well, it's sad because, she's agreeing with him. I know, right? Ugh, I'm so glad that doesn't happen to me. But it's like, girl, you're 35, But like, hey, and you've had 6 kids. Good for you, I guess. But like, geez. I don't know.
I'd be like, if I look old and haggard, it's because I had your 6 kids, dude.
Yeah. Can you, glad you didn't? Like, it was, those comments bothered me. And it just felt out of character for him, too. So,
yeah, a little bit, for
sure. Didn't like that. But, hey, just like a man. That was my only critique I found, though.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, other than the critiques that we've already talked about, just as far as, like, the multi-POVs with all the kids and all that kind of stuff, I didn't really have any particular critiques that I found about this. I definitely, I briefly just kind of, like, looked it up and did see that because of the big gap in time, a lot of people feel like the tone in book 6 is just so different that it feels disjointed. So that seemed to be a major critique of book 6, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, and that's why I'm scared for the next 2 books, but I think this was a gentle send-off to let us know Anne's journey is going to be wrapping up for us on, how much more she discusses her, because it was minimal. So it's like the gentle goodbye, to follow her children.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
hope
Maze.
I hope that it's handled in a way where we have closure, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's all I could really hope for, is that, like, what an epic story, and just knowing so much about Anne's life, like, I really hope that we get the send-off that we deserve, and it's not just, like, nothing. I don't know.
I'm sure, honestly, like, all jokes aside, we're probably going to just end up with, like, and they retire and live happily ever after for them.
Hopefully, maybe.
Or she could rip our heart out. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I have a fun fact for you guys. Okay, so I think I may have mentioned before that I actually picked up a book at Barnes & Noble a while back called Blue Castle that was in the horror section.
Yeah.
Then realized it was by L.M. Montgomery. Okay. I was like, wait, what? And had to do kind of a double take. I don't know. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know if it's true horror or what it is, but I thought this was interesting. So, The Blue Castle, a bestseller and one of Montgomery's adult novels, was banned by some libraries for featuring an unwed mother and undressing religious hypocrisy. This makes me more interested to read it. It was turned into a very successful Polish musical.
Wow. There you go. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So even more reasons, I feel like, maybe to add it on to our unpopular books by popular authors series or something like that. Obviously it was a bestseller, but unpopular as far as just like in the, like, I don't know, well-known.
Sphere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's my fun fact for you guys today about the L.M. Montgomery universe. Okay. So, yes, now it's time for our bonus section.
Ooh. called That's Just Like a Man.
That's Just Like a Man.
Or is it?
Or is it? Yeah. So basically, we thought it would be fun to come up with, just some kind of like a funny news story, something from a book, just like something anecdotal. And then the other person has to guess if that's just like a man or not. So would you like to go first or do you want me to go first?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Why don't you go first? I'm curious.
Great. Okay. So this was based off of a TikTok story I heard one time. So I had to change everything around to not give anything away.
Yeah.
Okay. So the family is on vacation. One of the significant others goes up to the other significant other to ask if they packed their swimsuit for them.
Okay.
Later on, that same significant other asks the first significant other, did they ask their toothbrush for them? The next day, then they asked, hey, did you pack a dressy outfit for that reservation you made for us? To the packer.
Okay. Just
like a man or no?
I'm going to say just like a man.
That's just like a man.
So what gave it away was like literally like asking if they packed an outfit for the reservation that they made.
Yeah. That the packer made. Yep.
Yeah, that the packer made. That is just like a man.
Just like a man.
Yeah.
Like, listen, and I know some people, that's their love language, to pack for their significant other. I staunchly and firmly will die on my hill that I will not be packing for my husband. And he has finally stopped asking if I would, because he just tries it. I might just see if she'll go for it this time. I got to pack for myself. I got to pack for my kids. I got to make the effing reservations. I'm not packing for you, because then you end up with problems like this. Asking like a third child in this family, because it was a nuclear family, if they packed their... First of all, you have eyes, right? So if your significant other packed for you, go use them. Go use those eyes, you know? So that was my, rage against the machine moment. Just like a man.
That's hilarious.
You know, but I will call out my dad in a positive way. They pack for each other, which I think is actually really sweet.
That's funny.
Sometimes he
That's
packs
cute.
for her. Sometimes he packs from him. It's just like, they're very last minute packers. It's comical, but they'll definitely like, okay, I'm home first. Let me pack for you. And he knows, everything that my mom likes. So I love that two-way street. Love it.
Yeah, I would never let my husband pack for me. He also does not. He does not expect me to. That would actually be like stressful. A funny experience.
Maybe
experiment.
If it's not a high stakes.
Yeah,
like
going
to a staycation for one night. Maybe I'd allow it.
Well, no, it'd just be funny to do it like just as an experiment. So you're not actually like going and taking that stuff. You just see what they would pack for you.
Oh my gosh,
that's actually kind of funny. Yeah, and my husband doesn't expect me to pack for him at all. So
I would love to see like what like makeup and like skincare and stuff they pack.
Exactly. Kanan would literally take everything and just dump it into a suitcase. Hey.
It's not unlike what I do for myself.
Yeah. Honestly, I do have to give some credit where credit is due, because there was one day where we were going to do like an event and I was working all day, and I asked him if he could bring me, I think I asked for like short Uggs, some tall socks, and a beanie or something like that. I don't know, and like a jacket maybe. And Kanan brought like all the right stuff.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I was like very surprised. I was like, wow, everything matches.
Oh,
it's
nice.
like all cute.
That's good. Yeah. Hey, that would be fun to do though.
Yeah, that would be super fun. Like basically pack for a one night outing, go. And just see what happens. Maybe we'll have to do it for science.
Because would they pick something that I would think I would want to wear, or would they pick something that they would want me to wear? I'm curious about that too.
Depends.
You know
on
what I mean?
Planned,
like,
maybe.
Because sometimes what guys like, oh, I love you in that like old holy high school T-shirt. They just love it. They eat it up. It's so random.
That's cute.
It's like I had no idea that was my laundry day. Great.
Yeah. Okay, so mine is a news story, and then there's a couple people that they quote.
Ooh.
So you have to guess if the quotes are just like a man. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So we all heard about this, but I looked it up because it was funny. Hot dog spill shuts down highway.
Okay.
In Pennsylvania commuter's worst nightmare. Okay, this comes from AP News, so it's legit. A truckload of hot dogs spilled across a Pennsylvania interstate.
Get ready for a hot dog algorithm to hit you guys again.
Friday, after a crash that briefly clogged the heavily traveled artery in both directions. I love all of the like
artery.
Yeah. Like all the
clogged
puns.
the arteries.
Yeah. Crews were stuck with a job they did not relish, rolling up the scattered tube stakes for disposal.
This is not real.
It is real. I love it. Okay, like literally it's on apnews.com, okay? It's just, it's one of their journalists having a good time. Like, I love it, you know?
For sure.
So, quote, once those leave the truck and hit the road, that's all garbage and it's still pretty warm, Shrewsbury Fire Company chief said. Okay, so that's one quote. So once these leave the truck and hit the road, that's all garbage and it's still pretty warm, okay? State police said the tractor trailer had an unspecified mechanical problem on Interstate 83, a few miles north of the Maryland line, as morning rush hour was wrapping up, causing it to push into a passenger vehicle. When the truck scraped along a concrete divider, its trailer was ripped open and the contents scattered. 4 people required medical attention for injuries that police said were not life-threatening, so we can laugh about this, okay? A front-end loader was used to scoop up the hot dogs and drop them into a dump truck. So the cop said emergency crews couldn't help but see the humor in the situation. And this person got a photo of a hot dog themed t-shirt from their daughter. This is other quote. I can tell you personally, hot dogs are very slippery. I did not know that. And that's the end of the news article.
That's just like a man.
I was cracking up. I'm like, I love that they're like going to ask. Literally, this is the police chief, okay, or the fire chief. Sorry, the fire chief. They're going to ask him to give a quote, and the one he comes up with is, "I can tell you personally, hot dogs are very slippery." I did not know that.
Hasn't boiled a hot dog a day in his life. Just like a man.
Just like a man. I was cracking up like so much.
Also the visual. Because this guy's wearing a hot dog shirt, you said? T-shirt thing?
He got
and he's
picture.
Like picking up the hot dogs, like, and they're so slippery, he like can't catch them like fish almost.
But he didn't realize that.
Only a man would go out there and try to like scoop them up also.
I was laughing so hard. So yeah, funny. If you guys want to send us in any anonymous stories, I guess, and then we have to guess if that's just like a man, let us know.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be great. We'll use it for next week's episode, for sure.
For sure. So I think that pretty much covers everything, right? Do you have any last things to say about Anne of Green Gables 7 or 6, 5, and 6? I'm like, which ones are we covering? 5,
7, 8, 9, 10? Yeah, nope, we're good. I'm good.
Right.
I feel good.
Me too. I feel good
too.
All
right. Feel good. I hope you guys feel good as well. And if you feel great, make sure to hit that like button. Leave us a little comment if you are reading this journey with us. And like, follow, and subscribe anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcasts, including YouTube. But you guys, we'll see you next Tuesday and Friday. Bye.